Hello everyone and welcome to the 5.0 Plasmatech. Is it called Plasma? It is called Plasmatech. Plasmatech, the dot spec one. The Plasmatech Vanguard overview. This is going to be fun, this one. Changed quite significantly. It's had a few minor tweaks, but one of the biggest changes to this class from 4.0 is its mobility, okay? Changes to things like our pulse cannon has gone, been replaced by ion wave, which is no longer a channeled ability. You can press it while moving, which is nice. You've also got artillery blitz, which can be channeled while moving as well. You can channel this while moving. Now, it doesn't have the same range as mortar volley, but it is very, very nice. The fact that our two channeled abilities are now usable. One of them's no longer channeled, and one of them is usable while moving, which is quite nice for us, really. So big changes to the spec. Minor changes to the class. Changes to the rotation, not so much. But obviously our stance has gone. You can see we got no stance here. We're just automatically in the stance. I think we get... Do we get the... Still get... Yeah, you still get the burning dot up on them. You see the little target burning there. So we still get that. So we still got the effects of our stance, but we cannot select a stance. The other thing we've got is guard is available to us. If you want to guard somebody, don't guard anybody. You'll just die. You've also got flak shell, which is a replacement for our sticky grenade. Not that we really used sticky grenade very much. There it is. There's its animation. It's just basically an instant cast ability there, which blows up and will damage 8 enemies. It's a sort of mortar round and sticky grenade combined, really. Instant. But it's not really that useful. Flak shell. It costs a lot of energy, to be honest, and it's not really useful. So changes to the spec. Not really that many changes to the spec, okay? There's not really anything that's changed from 4.0. You still get your plasmatize, still get your incendiary round, still get your shock strike as well, still get your auto crit high impact bolt. The only ability that we have that's new is plasma flare. Now it does change the rotation a little bit, okay? It just changes your priority. Plasma flare is what we've got, okay? It's the replacement for the thing. I can't remember what it was. What was the other thing it replaced? I don't remember. What was it again? Fire burst or something like that it was called? Immolate, that's what it was. Immolate or something like that it was called. Was it Immolate? It was Immolate, the Pyrotech one. I think it is a replacement for Immolate, basically, which is I forget what the Vanguard one is called. But it's a replacement for that. Now, the only thing that we've got here is overcharged plasma. Ion wave causes our next plasma flare to do 20% more damage. Now this does change the way we play the class slightly, and depending on our 6-piece set bonus, which is RNG based, it's going to change the way we play it. Okay, so we'll cover our utilities. We'll only cover the kind of new stuff. Really for raiding, muzzle logs is nice. Increase the range of ion pulse, tactical surge, add the radius of explosive surge. I like it because, again, it's only 2 meters that you get, but you can see here we are, 11, 12 meters, 1207, 11.9. It doesn't feel like a huge difference. This is 12 meters, we'll call it 11.9, and this is 10 meters roughly. So it's only like a couple of steps, really, but makes a difference. It makes a bit of a difference if you're at range. You can't use your this thing at range anymore. You can see here the range is only 10 meters on your artillery blitz, and the range on your flak shell is only 10 meters. So having at least one ability that has, that extra 2 meters of range can help out on some fights. If you're doing a lot of cleave, then sharp satchel is decent. Otherwise, reflective armor is decent. Into the fray is triggered, it deals extra damage. It's just free damage, essentially, that you're getting. Masterful, realistically, Sonic Rebounder is the requirement, okay? Protects all friendly targets in the area of impact, excluding yourself. Grants them a Sonic Rebound, which reflects the next direct Single target attack back at the attacker. Think of it as a group-wide saber reflect. Okay, that's pretty nice. If you need to interrupt things, frontline defense. Generally, your choice is going to be Electro Shield here. If you're moving a lot, then Battlefield Training is nice as well. But Electro Shield generally is the default choice. Useful for fights like Master Blaster. You can stand underneath Blaster, alright? And he does the trample thing. And if you have Reactive Shield up, this dot is was one of the most powerful in the game. In 4.0, it was one of the most powerful dots in the game. Okay, this was really, really powerful. If you popped your shield and stood under him, every time you took damage, also you'd get damage from Into the Fray as well. So it was just free damage, essentially. Heroic, really, I like re-energizers. When you run low on energy, you can use Reserve Power Cell. Now, when you use Reserve Power Cell, we're going to want to use Artillery Blitz because it's our only channeled ability. And it just maximizes our energy regen. Of course, we used to use it with our Pulse Cannon, but it seems we don't have it anymore, or it's not a channeled ability anymore, then basically what Reserve Power Cell, our next ability will deplete no energy cells. Obviously, we want to use it with a channeled ability, just so that we can get the best benefit out of it. Because obviously, while it's depleted, while this is being used, it is not, you know, it's like 3-second channel, and it's not costing us any energy, so we're regenerating energy over that 3 seconds rather than spending it. Advanced Align is quite nice as well. Increases the duration of our hold the line. Now, if we're having things where we need to move around a lot, where is it? Iron Will and Advance the Line are quite nice. For just the cooldown of Hold the Line. Hold the Line, of course, makes us immune to movement impairing effects, knockbacks, etc. Quite useful. I like it up as well, but there's nothing else really to pick here, to be honest. You could argue Efficient Tools gives you Adrenaline Rush. It increases the range of your shoulder cannon. Not really useful for... You can't use it during scripted stuns used by ops bosses and other special non-player characters, so that kind of puts a damper on it. For the legendary, the new legendary tier, Guard Cannon, it's less effective than it was, but it is nice. It's a nice little defensive cooldown, and I like the new one, Aim Extenders. Battle Focus grants us Aim Extenders, which basically gives most of our rotation, as you can see here. Ion Pulse, Tactical Surge, which we don't use, Ion Wave, Ion Storm, Ion Storm is a tank, Flak Shell, Artillery Blitz, Energy Blast, Energy Burst, Plasma Flare, Plasmatize gets to use it 30 meters while we're under the effects of our Battle Focus. Very useful, again, if we have to be away from the boss. Really, you could argue Storm if you're switching between targets, which resets the cooldown on Storm, so you can Storm to target, Storm to another target. You could have Hold the Line, again, if you really, really need movement speed. Charge the Line is quite nice. Battle Focus, reducing your damage. You don't really use Battle Focus as a defensive cooldown. You don't really recommend that. Don't take Pull and Pummel, okay? Do not take this for PvE. If you're doing PvP, this is very, very useful, okay? Harpoon does does more damage and will increase the Stock Strike or Shock Strike damage by 20%, okay? And it'll stun the target for 1.5 seconds. Very useful in PvP. Don't take it in PvE. Unless you're doing like tactical stuff, then it can be useful there. But if you're doing sort of Trinity-based stuff, you're doing operations, you do not want to be using Harpoon. It generates a hell of a lot of threat. Harpoon. You don't want that boss attacking you in PvE. It's alright, maybe there's an argument to be made for this if you're doing Sparky, for example. Because what you want to do is pull... You want to be tanking the ads on Sparky, really, as a DPS. Especially as a Vanguard. Can be useful. Again, it'll stun the target, so keep it in place. So, not saying don't take it for PvE, but there is, you know, Sparky. Again, we want to take the ads away, because, of course, the ads put... Sparky HM, the ads put a stacking debuff on the target. Okay, on the tanks, which means they take more damage from the boss. So if you spread those stacking debuffs around the sort of DPS and healers, then it's less damage the tank takes from the boss. Right, let's move on to gearing. Ugh, the elephant in the room. Right, obviously priority is accuracy, cap it. Okay, mine is over the cap. How I achieve this? I would say, normally we would say, cap your accuracy, get your set bonus. However, thanks to 5.0's gearing system, then focusing on the set bonus, there's nothing that you can do about it, right? Absolutely nothing that you can do about your set bonus gear. Okay, I have the 6-piece from the previous expansion. Okay, this is going to affect our rotation. Okay, the 6-piece here. Keep your 6-piece. Let me tell you, just keep that. Keep it until you get... I don't know if the new gear stacks with the old gear set bonus. I don't know. If it doesn't, then disregard set bonus. Okay. You're going to have to get 6 pieces before you replace them. Honestly, the DPS gain from having the 6-piece is probably going to be outweighed by the advantage. So how I cap my accuracy, basically I just added an extra AUG here. Okay. Okay, I added a 228 AUG in. Okay. One more, so I think I've got 6 instead of 5 now augments, because that's AUG for accuracy. That's AUG for accuracy. That's AUG for accuracy. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Because obviously we can't control our gear. All I did was add 1 228 one, and then I removed the crit one from this, and I swapped that out. And it gave me 110.5. It's a bit over the accuracy cap. However, it's better to be over than under. Okay. It's just slightly better that way. It just works out better for us. Obviously, as we gear up, and if we get an accuracy piece, you know, remember last time you could get the implants and you could just pick what you wanted. You could just pick it. Basically, just pick whatever you wanted. Pick whatever stats you wanted from the implants and the earpiece, but now that's gone. In terms of our 228 gear, I do have this piece. You know, this modern enhancement. I do have modern enhancement in there. I got an offhand. I got an offhand, some pants, and a main hand. So I've got the main hand barrel in there, and I've got some 228 PCs. This was a 220 thing. It's a sniper set bonus thing. We gotta keep that. They were 220 mods and enhancements, so I just replaced them with 228 mods and enhancements. Honestly, the 228 mods are not worth replacing. 228 enhancements are, however. If you really are struggling with gearing, then the only surefire way to gear is to go to the GTN or do crafting. Okay. The GTN or crafting, what the GTN allows you to do is pick your stats. Okay. So even for the purple 228 gear, it is kind of expensive, start of expansion prices. So it is kind of expensive, but if you really are struggling for things like accuracy, if you want crit, if you want control over your gearing, you're going to have to pay the price. Again, we've got like 12 million credits. We had 10 million. We got the 2 million from that. If we spent that on gear, then, you know, we would be okay. PvP gear is totally useless now. We should just vendor that 204 gear now. It's kind of useless to us. I don't know what you do for PvP, to be honest with you. In terms of stats, it's hard to min-max in this expansion. Plasma benefits more from crit than alacrity. Not to say ignore alacrity, but you want to be benefiting more from crit. Your plasma flare really does benefit from crit, okay? You get the extra 10% buff on plasma flare. You also want these dots. Bear in mind, Plasmatize is a 30-second dot, okay? Speeding it up really isn't in our best interest. Having it crit more often, I mean, it just being on the target is what we want, because it does give us a damage buff. It gives a 5% damage buff from tech attacks. That is everything, really. I think it's everything except High Impact Bolt and Hammer Shot. I think they're the only two non-tech attacks that we do. So there you go. Most of your rotation. Shock Strike is a tech attack. These two are definitely tech attacks. But yeah, so rotation-wise, what you want to do is keep the dots on the target. Okay, your Plasmatize, very important. Keep that on. Get your incendiary round up, and then you want to be shock striking, and then use your auto crit high impact bolt. Fire off one of these. Fire off 2 of these if you have your set bonus. Then you want to fire off an ion wave, and then you've got the double buff here on the overcharged plasma. Okay, you see here, you've got the auto crit from the 6-piece set bonus, plus the 20% damage buff. So basically, keep dots applied. Okay, plasmatize at all times. Get your 2 auto crits out. We won't get the auto crit this time. Fire that off because we got the buff. And every time we get that little buff there, we get that. For filler, we can just use artillery blitz as well because they do still get the debuff. Okay, damage taken. Where is it? The other debuff that we're looking at. Oh no, they don't do that debuff anymore. That's interesting. But yeah, you can still use Plasmatize as filler. You can use Flak Shell if you've got the energy for it. Otherwise, use either Shoulder Cannon or Hammer Shot. If you don't have Shoulder Cannon, use Hammer Shot. Basically, but you've got a ton of mobility, a ton of cleave as well. And you can cleave on the go this time, which is quite nice. You've got your Sonic Rebounder as well. Your Shoulder Missiles, you tend to want to use them a bit. Use them as filler, essentially. While you're waiting for your Shock Strike and your Auto Crit High Impact Bolt to come off cooldown, make sure you keep the Incendiary round up. Bear in mind it lasts half as long as Plasmatize. So basically every second rotation, your rotation should take about 15 seconds. Okay, this rotation should be about 15 seconds. Okay, we'll hit this up. Fire off that one, fire off that one. Get that off, and then get that off, and your Shock Strike is off cooldown. As you can see, it's about to fall off there. You can fire a Hammer Shot there while it was waiting. And what you want to do is refresh Incendiary round, go for another rotation, and then refresh Incendiary round, Plasmatize. Okay? Plasmatize on the target. Plasmatize falls off. It is a bit of a... There it is, Overwhelmed. That's the debuff that you get there that increases the damage from area attacks when you use your artillery blitz. So there is a bit of filler involved. Before we didn't have as much filler because this was a 3-second channel. Now it's just instant. There it is, that's the debuff there. Damage taken from area attacks increases. It's going to increase the damage from your artillery blitz. So you might as well pop it out. When you start getting sort of below sort of 60% energy, you want to start thinking about your reserve power cell or your recharge cells. Okay, below 50, you want to hit recharge cells. It'll give you all your energy back. Make sure you use your battle focus at the pool as well, while every other buff is up. Gives you 25% crit chance, tech crit chance, ranged and tech crit chance, but 25%. So it's quite nice. You want to make sure you get it off, obviously, with your 2 auto crits, your high impact bolt, and your plasma flare. Other than that, plasma flare, keep it on cooldown, but always try and buff it up with ion wave. Okay, make sure you hit an ion wave first, and make sure you proc ion wave. Bear in mind that when you hit your plasma flare, you will get a free ion pulse as well. That's quite nice. We'll show you that there. How it works out there. You get that off. You get that off. Two of them off. Fire that out. Big auto crit. Fire that out. Fire that out. And then that's off cooldown, put that back up, and then you can fire this off. You should have used reserve power cell there as well, with that artillery blitz, because we got quite low on energy there, but other than that, it's sped up. Certainly it's a lot faster than it was in 4.0, that's one of the things I found. It's really good at cleave, you still got the little damage buff there. Bear in mind if you're doing AoE, let's get to AoE now. AoE is fairly similar to your single target. Obviously, you want to make sure Incendiary round is on. You want to put Plasmatize on, Incendiary round, then these two, fire off these two, and then use your Ion Wave to spread your Incendiary round, and then use Artillery Blitz. Okay, that's how you AoE, that's how you cleave with this spec. You can use Flak Shell as well, fire that into them as well, and then just use Artillery Explosive Surge as filler. So make sure Incendiary round is on the target. Fire off 2 of these, what's it called? Explosive Surge. Use your Ion Wave to spread your Incendiary round. Does it still spread Incendiary round? I believe it does still spread Incendiary rounds. Ion wave spread your periodic incendiary round effects to targets damage as long as the primary target is affected by your incendiary round. Yes, it still does. So spread the dot, and of course it gets the overwhelmed debuff, which means it takes more damage from area attacks. Then obviously use artillery blitz. You can use flak shell as a bit of filler, and you can use explosive surge as a bit of filler as well. Until you get your artillery blitz and until your incendiary round comes off and your ion wave comes back up. But other than that, it's quite good for cleave, actually. The only real difference is the mobility gain. Really, that's the biggest difference with it, is massive mobility gain. Still has crit as a priority over alacrity, pretty much. Bear in mind, you want to get as many plasmatize. You want plasmatize up, because even if you kill an ad, plasmatize will jump to another ad. This is kind of a pain in the arse in some fights, like Operator 9, pain in the arse. Do not use the spec for torque. Just do not use it. Because if you put plasmatize up in one of the ads, it will jump to the little repair droids. Don't use it. Just use tactics. Trust me. Trust me, don't do it. Who killed the repair droid? Ah, the plasmatize jumped to it. Or either that or you don't use plasmatize on the ads, but then you're losing the 5% tech damage as well, and you might accidentally ion wave and cleave them, especially if you have battle focus with aim extensions up. So especially if you have them up. So that's just my advice for you if you're gonna raid in this expansion. Good luck to you if you're gonna raid in this expansion. But that's really it. Really, there's not much really that's new apart from I do like the changes to the spec. I like the fact you've got more mobility, less range, but more mobility at least. So you can cleave while moving, which is nice as well. I actually prefer it over tactics for doing trash waves, basically. The only downside is a lot of trash dies before you can get your dots. What I do is just incendiary round and ion wave. That's what I do. That usually kills trash. But yeah, it's very, very powerful. Your incendiary round is very, very nice when it spreads to other targets anyway. But that is all for this video, so thank you for joining me. We'll see you again soon, and goodbye.